Because it was raining this day, I thought it was best just to stay in and tidy up the place. The meals were served to me on dishes, so I thought it was best just to wash them and put them away and just to give it back to the host instead of allowing them just to pile up. This also was a perfect time for me to finally get out and look around and see where I was staying at. One of the things that caught my attention was their man-made koi fish pond, and I do believe they said that they allowed fishing, but I didn't feel like fishing that day. I just wanted to look around and walk around and pretty much simply take in the atmosphere. As I look back on these videos, it reminds me why it was so difficult for me to finish editing these. The host had various fruit trees, and it made me think about my great-grandmother in Jamaica, how when we went to her home, she had various avocado, mango, breadfruit, jackfruit, all sorts of trees. And I recognized some of these fruits were served on my plate for breakfast. How amazing it is to essentially have fruit trees growing on your land. How amazing it is to just go out and grab them. It's such a normal thing. It should be something that is normalized for everyone. And that's something that I crave, something that I aspire to achieve one day for myself, to have chickens, animals on my land, to have fruit trees, to simply be able to go out and grab whatever I need because it's all right there. That's something that my body and my soul craves, something that I want for myself, something that I've been manifesting. And it's so painful to not live in that reality, so much so that I simply can't even bring myself to look back on these videos to edit them, because the reminder that I'm not living in that life in my present the pain is so great. It's borderline paralyzing for me. And that's why it's important to change my mindset. This is something that I should be grateful to experience, to have seen, something that could give me the motivation, the drive that I need to actively bring this into my lifestyle, to bring it into my present moment, to finally achieve for myself. And this was another lazy day for myself. I decided to go ahead and get brunch in the morning, and then I decided to set an appointment for the afternoon to get my toenails done. I realized very quickly that this town held a lot of expats, a lot of people who come from other countries to immigrate here to retire. And the main language spoken in this country is Spanish. And I noticed a lot of people here were, they were speaking English. And essentially, this is a place that you want to move to when you retire, somewhere warm, peaceful, and slow moving. And I know if I were to move here, I want a combination of both the city and something peaceful and slow moving. And this day was very special to me because the host was able to finally find a driver who could take me out to finally see the prominent waterfall in the area. And this drive was very long, and I was just simply praying, hoping that this drive would be worth it. I honestly was just lucky that the ride there was very scenic. I think a couple minutes in and we already were hitting the mountain ranges in the area. And there was a couple times my driver did get lost. He'd never been to this waterfall before, so we stopped at a historic town for him to ask for directions. And eventually we were able to get to where we needed to go. The waterfall sits up high into the mountains. It's very high elevation. As we kept climbing, I definitely felt my ears starting to pop, so I knew we were definitely getting closer and closer to our destination. And I was instructed by a guide before I could even get up there. They said the only way to get up to the waterfall up the mountain is through travel on a 4x4 vehicle or truck or SUV, and it needs to be instructor or guide led. So it's not something I can go up there by myself. I have to be led there to the area because it can be very dangerous, and also you can get lost, especially if you've never been to the waterfall before. And yes, the travel there was very worth it. Before I could even get to the waterfall, I was already met by streams and rivers. So already showing signs that there is a massive waterfall up ahead. And the official name of this massive waterfall is Cascada La Gloria, which simply means La Gloria waterfall. That waterfall was so magnificent. It was so beautiful in person. And my first instinct, of course, is to bust out them candles. It's to pray to get underneath that waterfall. But because I wasn't alone, I simply had to improvise and do what I can do, which was okay, I could dip my body in, talk to myself a bit, maybe say a little prayer in my head. But essentially, you'll see in a bit in the video the way I had to improvise since I wasn't alone. Now, the Estunia spirit or messenger spirit requires routine cleansing at the waterfall to stay at peace. If you're guided or feel drawn to the spirit, you know that it will constantly need you to come to the waterfall to keep it at peace. This spirit needs constant purification. You'll know when it's time to visit the waterfall again because you'll start to feel a little bit off, feel like you're not yourself, big mood swing changes. That pretty much is a sign to tell you go to the waterfall. And your water spirits, such as Nzunza, if you have Nzunza or Ndao, water spirits, you'll notice that they do enjoy being at the water, and to just connect with them, to have a deeper connection with them, and also so you can feel regulated and balanced. Go to the water, waterfalls, oceans, rivers, to connect with them, to pray, leave an offering, to communicate with them. They definitely will help regulate your body, make you feel a lot better because you're visiting the water. The water is where your water spirits will reside, where you can essentially deepen your connection with them. And I noticed at the base of the waterfall there were small pools where I can dip my body in, a much safer area to dip my body in and also to collect the waterfall water. And then out of nowhere, it suddenly began to rain. And hey, if you know, you know. That already showed me it's a great sign to me. And I personally like collecting rain or storm water. It's best used in spells and rituals for transformation, for change. So immediately as it started to rain, I rushed right to the base of the waterfall again and decided to collect a combination of that rain, storm, and waterfall water. Very powerful water to collect. I went and did what I needed to do to collect that water to be used for anything I need, like to cleanse myself, to transform myself, to revitalize myself, purify myself, you name it. And I felt it was a nice touch to just add the flowers to the jar. As I was collecting, those pink purplish flowers began to descend from the trees above and landed into the water. So I thought I might as well add it to the jar as a nice touch. And I was definitely curious to see if there was a river that extended from the waterfall. I noticed it was hidden. I was finally able to see this massive river that extended from the waterfall that was a little bit hidden within the trees. And it began to rain harder, so it was time to go. Decided to take a quick video to the welcome sign, welcome to the waterfall, La Gloria. It was time to head back just because, the storm definitely became heavier. And as we were descending the mountain to get to our vehicle, I stumbled upon calabash, what they call totumo. It was various calabash trees on my left-hand side as we were descending the mountain. And immediately my mind went to, in various African countries, calabash was used to be made into bowls and for utensils. And it made me think back to when I went to a relocation tour in this country in August of 2023. The guide specifically said, he stated, if you ever wanted to visit any African country, just know that you can get a piece of it in Central and South America. And I now see what he means. Certain trees, fruits. Also, I've noticed various traditions and practices were conducted in Central and South America, because if you think about the slave trade, think about the points on the map, on the globe, where were the enslaved people were dropped off at. And then as we're walking, you see more chickens walking around in people's yard. Something I thought of to myself, how cool that is to have just animals just again chilling on your land, just free range, just walking around. Something I definitely thought to myself, like, okay, like if I do choose to move here, that's what I definitely want, is just my own animals, my own garden, my own place to call my own. A luxury that we do not have in the States. We have something called HOA, where they tell you what you can and can't do with your home, your land. Essentially, you don't really own your own land. You don't really own your home. They tell you what you can and can't do with it. And that's something I don't even want for myself. Hell, we can't even afford to own our own home in this place. And if you ever felt at peace or connected to the mountains, you might have mountain spirits or Apolosi, spirits that reside in the mountains. Apolosi is also known as whistling spirits. Hikes, prayer, meditation in the mountains will probably ground you and most likely connect you more to these spirits that reside in the mountains. And now that I have my liquids, it is time to make my mixtures. Before using your herbs, it is best to cleanse and speak, pray, and intention over your herbs before use. When cleansing your herbs, I personally use my own protection cleansing incense. Anything dealing with cedar, pine, or sandalwood is good for cleansing. The first liquid I'm using is my ocean water that I collected from that time I was in the ocean the other day. I'm simply taking the ocean water out of the fridge and then pouring it into a pot to be boiled. And the reason why is I plan to infuse the liquid with herbs of my choice. My first herb of choice is rue. It is believed to have the power to cleanse and purify spaces, objects, and self. Rue has the ability to provide a protective barrier. And at this moment, before placing it into the pot, I am praying over the herb, cleansing the herb, and speaking an intention over the herb before it's placed in the pot. Hyssop is another cleansing herb that I like to use. It is constantly referenced in the Bible, especially Psalm 51, which I personally like to use when cleansing with hyssop. Hyssop is definitely more purifying, cleansing than it is as a protecting herb. Hyssop can be definitely used if you need to remove any blockages or clear away any sins that you feel like is standing in the way of your spiritual progress. And once it is done, I just take the lid to simply strain it back into the jar to then be refrigerated. I've noticed that the longer you boil your mixture, the more it will evaporate. So I'll definitely keep that in mind moving forward. I just won't boil it too long because I want to preserve and keep as much mixture as I can. And this is a quick way to make a mixture for cleansing yourself. Multi-purpose meaning like it can be used on yourself, on an object, or for any various places in the house. And I am repeating the same steps with my waterfall water, making sure to remove the flowers and pouring the liquid into the pot. And I decided to keep the herbs still in the pot because I decided to still use the same herbs, rue and hyssop. I don't mind having a little bit of herbs still remaining in the pot. What I'm doing is going to repeat the same steps. I'm going to add some more. Therefore, having herbs still remain in the pot was not an issue for me. It's just that this time around, I'll make sure not to boil it for too long because I want to have most of my mixture remain. And essentially, you can use any cleansing herbs you want. I personally am using hyssop and rue because that is my favorite go-to when wanting to make a quick cleansing mixture. Just make sure that the herbs you're using are non-toxic. They aren't harmful to the skin and to the body. And there you have it, my waterfall multi-purpose mixture, which I'll go ahead and put it back in the fridge. And I decided to place my flowers back into it. And honestly, my mixtures lasted, I would say, from July 2023 to, I would say, the last time I used it was today, February of 2024. So preserving in the fridge does really help. And finally, I am boiling herbs, roots, and barks that I will need to ingest as a tea. The common practice is performed where you would take a long stick and stir this mixture quickly in a calabash dish, which will form a foam. The foam is needed to be ingested, and that is what feeds Idlozi and Istunya. And these herbs are not listed in order. If you like a closer look of these herbs, I will place it in the in my description box or my bio below. I got it from Etsy, and when I ordered it, it was called the Ubulawu Pack. Essentially, what I'm putting in this pot is to help open up my mind, help me dream better, remember my dreams, have a deeper connection with my spiritual team, and essentially it's to cleanse me from the inside. I used herbs that was given to me from a Sangoma from my trip to South Africa. I actually crushed and opened up the African dream seed, which I will show you in the description box. Is actually a hard shell seed that I was able to crack open and to use. And these are normally what diviners and healers use to induce your prophetic dreams in order to mediate and communicate between yourself and your ancestral spirits. And this is something that my body definitely needed. Definitely what my intuition was telling me to get, because I've noticed at that time I was not remembering my dreams. Hell, I don't even know if I was having dreams. And as I drank this mixture, I definitely was having more vivid dreams and was able to start remembering them. So if you feel like you need to strengthen your clairvoyance and clairaudience ability, therefore making it easier to receive messages and instructions, I do feel as though you would benefit from this mixture as well. And in this moment, I would have loved to have been instructed and shown how to mix this mixture until I developed a foam to be ingested. But in this part of my spiritual journey, I've noticed that I was honestly not supported the way I needed to be. Essentially, on my journey, I have been abandoned, and I have been not given the proper instruction to do things the traditional way. Therefore, I've had to rely on my intuition to instruct me, hey, make it into a tea. Make sure your diet consists of porridge and fruit, no meat, so that when you consume these herbs, it doesn't have a hard time absorbing through your stomach. I do hope in the future I can find people who I can rely on, people who aren't too busy for me, who can be honest and open and communicative with me. But until then, on this journey, I just would have to just trust my intuition. This is just showing me how I can be my own teacher, my own master. I can even surprise myself with the gifts and skills, intuition that I possess on my own.
Daydream with me, let your mind explore all the things we were created for. Possibilities and open doors. reaching out.